Good morning, everyone. Senator Janet Bewley is my guest today. Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. I'm Ed Dryden. You're watching DrydenWire live. Senator Bewley was actually just recently elected as the new Democratic leader in Wisconsin Senate, so can't wait to talk to her about that, and I'll get her insights on all the things going on down in Madison. Thank you to our guests so far this week, Wisconsin's 29th Assembly District candidate Neil Klein and Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald. If you missed those, the recording is available on our website, DrydenWire.com, and on our YouTube channel. Just search DrydenWire. Tomorrow, Diane Dryden will be chatting with Brian Cole for her weekly Diane's Kitchen show, and I'll be back on Friday with my special guest, Bob Rombach of the We Are Network. All right, well, let's get our guest on for today. So if you'll help me, please welcome in Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Janet Bewley. Miss Janet, good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here. What's the weather like? As I mentioned before, I'm in Madison. And what's it like up north? Did you have a lot of rain?
Yeah, and it looks like there's a window behind you, and I don't know if that's sun or just something, but it's still cloudy, and yesterday was raining all day.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay, but we're down here, but that's good for fires. I mean, the fire danger was really high up there, and so I'm hoping that it's better now.
So you're in Madison.
I am in Madison. I sort of inserted myself in my little capsule of a car. My car was just delighted to be driving again, and just zipped all the way down to Madison, only stopped to get gas, and so now I'm safely tucked away in my tiny little micro apartment, 450 square feet, as I mentioned.
450
square feet. Yeah, it's teeny little thing, but it's perfect. It's just perfect for me, and I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. So,
wow, and that must be kind of nice to have a home away from home, something familiar. So when you go down, you still can, instead of a different hotel room each time, something familiar.
I couldn't do that. This makes the job possible for people like me that live over 5 hours away. If we're hanging out in a meeting in the Capitol until 6 o'clock and it went longer, what do you do if you don't have a room that night?
Yeah.
I mean, do you scramble around to try to get a room? Do you try to drive home? Do you have to run back to your hotel and check out? I never have to worry about that.
Oh, nice.
I just literally jump in my car and come to Madison, or vice versa. So it's really very, very efficient, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Out of curiosity, do you have to pay for that out of your own pocket?
I do, but keep in mind that all legislators that live beyond a certain distance do get a daily per diem.
Oh, right.
To cover the expenses. And I get that, but instead of paying for hotel, I just throw it at this place.
I see.
Same thing. Quite a few of the really far legislators do this. If you're within 2 or 3 hours, it doesn't make such a difference.
Right.
But for those of us who live so far away, I know that there were times that senators or reps would pair up and they would buy a little house together. Oh. That's getting a little more rare since houses in Madison are not that reasonable anymore, but it makes the job easier. We get to do a good job for our constituents and still be here in Madison the way we're supposed to be.
Yeah, I first heard about that when I was watching Amazon Prime. Literally just yesterday, I was watching Alpha House. I don't know if you ever heard of that or not, but it was over in D.C., and there were 4 people that were legislators in D.C. that actually had a house. I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing, but kind of find out it is.
Oh, yeah. I would love to see that show.
Oh, it's pretty funny.
I have Amazon Prime. So, what's it called? Alpha House?
Yeah, Alpha House. It's pretty good. Yeah, John Goodman. Okay. What's the Kelly Ripa's husband's name? He's on it. It's pretty good.
Oh, my gosh. John Goodman's great. Oh, I'd love to see that.
All right, so let's talk about, so first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think, unless, I don't know, maybe just drew the short straw. So recently, you are now the Senate Minority Leader. So how did that come to be?
Well, the person who was in this position before me was Senator Jen Schilling. And Jen had been doing this for about 5 years, 6 years. She was the Senate Minority Leader. And she is not going to run again. She has chosen that when her 4 years are done, she will not be running again. And so she decided that, and I'll explain the job in a minute, but since you need continuity through an election cycle, that she would step down now and allow the transition to be picked up by someone who's going to be in the office next year. Now, I don't have to run. Senators have a 4-year term, so half of the Senate, here's the clue, the even-numbered Senate districts are running right now, and the odd-numbered Senate districts are not.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's how it worked.
Yeah. It's only the even-numbered Senate districts. So the rest of us get to sit out for the second 2 years. I'll have to run again in 2 years. Now, the job of leader, and there are obviously 4 of us, minority and majority in the Assembly and in the Senate. And we are the leader of our caucus. So there's a Democratic and a Republican caucus in both houses, the Assembly and the Senate. And what we do is we organize. Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can. Just like it stopped just for a second here.
Okay, great. Okay, it just said connection
lost. Yeah, now we're back.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so in the caucus, it's all the Democrats and all the Republicans, and they meet separately a lot. Just the caucuses. And the leader's job is to represent the caucus and to communicate to the caucus what's going on in the building, with the governor, with the agencies, and all of that. So when we are in session, and technically we could go to the floor right now if it was necessary. While we are in session, we meet on a regular basis to talk about the bills that people are introducing so that we're all on the same page. The leader also kind of organizes the messaging, the press. Like if the governor says something, reporters are going to want to know, how do the Democrats feel about that? Or how do the Republicans respond? And so that's the person that they normally talk to is the leader. And I'm the one who gives the quote about the reaction. And then outside the building, that's called inside the building. Okay. Here's the other really important part of it that your listeners might really be interested in. Outside the building, it's the leader who sort of watches over all the candidates and tries to help the party find people who are going to run, familiarize them with the role of what it takes to have a campaign. And we just sort of oversee both sides, inside and outside. So, and there's the part for the continuity, because I am working, as my counterparts are, with the candidates who are either running for re-election or the brand new candidates. Okay. So say, for example, Dave Armstrong is running for Romaine Quinn's seat. So he's spending time talking to Robin Voss and the Republican caucus in the Assembly. And that's Robin's gig. Excuse me, that's Representative Voss's gig. No, Voss is for Quinn.
The Assembly. Right.
Okay. Now, Fitzgerald is in the Senate, so he'll be working with all of the candidates in the Senate that are running in the Republican Party.
Okay.
So it's a big job. It's a big job. And so I had been assistant leader for about 2 years now. So in order to keep the continuity, I mean, the name of the game right now is to stay alert, stay organized, stay focused. What you don't want is inconsistency or a break in the strategy. You want to keep things smooth, both for the public and for the caucus members. So it was felt that a smooth transition would be great. And fortunately, the caucus was in agreement. And so I was unanimously elected to leader.
Was that something that you were, I wouldn't say looking for, but when your name was brought up, Is this an honor for you to do, or is it, oh, great, more work, less, and for the same pay? Or maybe you got more, I don't know. But was this something that was an honor?
No, it is an honor. I mean, and I think that I was positioned well because I saw so well as assistant leader, I saw what the job entailed. Jen and I were a pretty good team. Senator Schilling and I were a good team. And I believe that I'm ready to do it. I want to do it. Again, I'm in an odd number. I'm in an odd district. Yeah. I'm in an odd number district. That's going to appear somewhere on a video. I'm in an odd number district, and so I don't have to run, and I can dedicate all of my time to this job. And it is an honor, and it's a lot of work, but it is an honor. And I have to tell you, very honestly, I was never looking for what we call leadership. I was never looking for a role in leadership, mainly because I kind of looked at the total package of what I do as a senator. And it's a giant honking district. I mean, the 25th is the largest district in the state. It's far away. And so between the distance I drive, the size of the district, I felt that was enough on my plate. To add leadership on top of that was not something that I aspired to. It wasn't like, I liked the way it was, and it was great, and I liked being assistant. But when this came along and I knew that Jen was was going to be leaving and not running again, I thought, this is mine. This is my time to step up. Well, and I did so willingly and happily.
Well, I'm excited that we have someone in leadership. Again, I don't care about Democrat, Republican, but just someone that is in a leadership position that is from Northwest Wisconsin. So, because I don't think there's a lot of those.
No, and it's interesting whether you're Democrat or Republican. When you tell people what some of the rural situations are like, they don't get it.
Yeah. So, do you think this will help you in that position now, in the leadership position? Will this help Northwest Wisconsin? Will this because you're in that position? Maybe now your voice is a little bit more. Not that maybe it wasn't in the past. I don't know how that stuff works internally, but now you can. A lot of the issues that are in our area, you have a bigger pulpit now.
Absolutely. I'll be able to relate to people in a way where I think that I don't want to say it this way in a pandering sort of way, but I can educate people to say that this is what it's like in the rural North. I mean, not that you're dumb, but, sometimes you really don't understand that once the interstate ends in north of Spooner in Trigo. Well, no, it does go to Superior, but I don't have an interstate anymore. All the way to my home, the last third of my drive is through Hayward and, all the, and nobody gets that. You can't just take the next exit. That's not how you do it in the North. You just don't. We'll take two exits and then turn right. No. Here's one, and I think I may have told you this before. I tell some of my colleagues that I do not have a Target in my district. There's no Target store. And some people faint dead away. How can you live without Target? I go, well, we have Walmart, Hey, we have Walmart. And those are the sorts of things they just, it's like, what? Yeah. And dry cleaning. Nobody dry cleans.
No.
No. You're talking. But we do have dry cleaners and very, very nice ones. But there's a dry cleaner on every corner here because of the kind of culture that it is. It's just very different, very, very different. A lot more cars that can get through deep snow and thick mud. A lot of dirty cars up here I drive my car down there and people point at my car because it's so muddy in spring and in fall. So it's a different lifestyle, and I'm proud of it.
Well, I think that it's one of those things because it is such a long distance away. Now, the Twin Cities, at least, for our area, that's not that far away for us. It's much closer to go to the Twin Cities than it is to go down to Madison or down to Milwaukee. So I think that adds to a part of it as well, where just the geographically, northern Wisconsin, in this case specifically northwest Wisconsin, to southeastern and southwestern Wisconsin. That is a long way away. It's like it's almost another state away.
Absolutely.
And our issues are a little bit different than the ones down there, and I think everyone can agree with that.
They're very different. And here's where the kind of thing that you do really, really helps, is that in the 25th Senate District, other than some of the people in the southern part of the district who pick up Eau Claire and La Crosse, network TV is out of Minnesota.
Yep.
So they try to give Wisconsin news, but the nucleus is Minnesota. So if you are in the northern part of the district, you get all your news out of Duluth. It's Duluth.
Yeah.
And they do really, but it's Minnesota. It's a Minnesota market in terms of advertising. So it's a lot of we feel like we're poaching on Minnesota broadcast media.
Yeah.
And that's why local radio and local television, when we can get it, is so important.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. And I that was one of the things when we started DrydenWire, we looked at it as, is there really a hole here? And to your point, we kind of looked at, Eau Claire to the Twin Cities and up to Superior, Duluth. There's this triangle, everything in between there, this area. It's weekly newspapers, which they do a phenomenal job, but it's still weekly paper and no television coverage, no really anything. And I don't know. I think there's something there. I think Northwest Wisconsin, that's why we don't just focus on Washburn. It's like a 6-county radius. Kind of feel like we need a voice here. So that was literally the reason that we started this, was just for that.
Oh, absolutely. And we absolutely do. And the fact that you don't hear Wisconsin news every single day, like a matter of course, you end up not having that level of awareness of the political issues like the people in the southern 2/3 of the state. Yeah. And so things have a tendency to get past you when it's too late.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I didn't know about that. And there were hearings in Madison about that a month ago. And we have no way of letting people know. And so we try really hard, but unless you get to hear it over and over again on the news, people don't have the chance to learn about it.
Yeah, exactly. And we just want to educate people. I've learned a lot. I mean, I was ignorant on a lot of these things until I started DrydenWire. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. No, I still am on a lot of things, actually. Borderline dumb on some things, but that's okay.
I'm only dumb on Sundays, so that's...
All right, let's transition. There's only one other thing on my item list was one, talk about that, and two, all the goings on down in Madison. So specifically right now, let's start with the lawsuit. How is this going to end?
Well, I'm not sure. And I think you're talking about the one where the Republicans say that the agency that covers health and her role as the secretary, she doesn't have the authority to shut the state down. And the question is, who does? The interpretation in the Constitution isn't clear, so it gives you that window, it gives you that access to challenge it. And so the case is being made that there was no precedent for that. And so far the court is going very slowly on this. They gave the governor until the 28th to respond. And then there's a rebuttal period of 2 days for the Republicans, and then the court will decide if they're going to take it. And that's if they're going to take it. So they could refuse it and say, no, this has to proceed. And I'm in the legislature, and I respect division of powers. You've got the legislative, the judicial, and the executive. And there's a distribution of powers in all of those things. Sometimes in an emergency, you've got to turn to the executive branch and you say, the buck stops here in the executive branch, or the buck will stop there in the judicial or in the legislative. And I don't think that everything has to be concentrated in one place. I think that there are powers that are very appropriately in the executive branch, and that if it isn't the Secretary of the Division of Health, who would make a health decision about our state?
Yeah.
So we'll see what the court says, and because this is, I think that we're going into an era when we're going to need to make decisions quickly, and we need to put things in place so that the public has faith in the decisions that are being made and in the way that they're being made. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think I apologize. You had said that it was going slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think why is that? Is Supreme Court just kicking the can for a reason? What is the reason that this is going slowly?
Well, it feels that way. The court again, they have to meet in a virtual way, and there's just so many issues pounding them right now. And I'm not speaking on this with any judicial experience whatsoever, but in an emergency might not be the time to make a decision about how decisions should be made in an emergency. So right now we've got to get through this, and then we can decide what we're going to do. Others are saying, well, but we have to open the economy. And I think that we're starting to do that. Every day, something new is being allowed to open. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that, you can go golf. Have you gone golfing yet?
No.
Oh, well,
no,
you can.
No. I can't wait to go. It's just been too cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But people are very, very excited that you can golf now. And bit by bit, things are open. State parks are open.
Yep.
You can go camping. Yep. You can go. So, and I know that just today, more businesses, certain kinds of businesses are being allowed to open. Yep. So we'll see, because all of this is brand new territory for everybody in the judicial system, in the executive branch, and for those of us in the legislature.
Now that you are in the Senate, in Senate leadership, in the Democratic leadership, Senate Minority Leader, is your role changed, or has it changed when it comes to this lawsuit? Mm-hmm. When it comes to this, do you have a seat at the table now, or is this still kind of between the GOP leadership and Evers' administration?
Well, right now it's fluid in terms of what kind of issue it is. Mm-hmm. When it comes to something as specific as a lawsuit, we, in that case, we are there's a plaintiff and give me the words. Okay. Anyways, there are two sides to it.
Sure.
And the Republican Party sued the governor or the executive branch. So the Democrats or the governor had to respond. Mm-hmm. And so there was no real role for me to play. There's no role for the legislature to play. We just stand in the background and watch it go and try to communicate. We don't have a dog in that fight right now, except in terms of the issues and how we talk about it, how we represent the issues to the people in our districts. But we do not have an active role in what happens in the courts.
I wrote down, like 10 minutes before I went live, I went and I just Google searched Janet Bewley and went under news. And a WPR story came up from April 24th. So I don't know what that was, 5 days ago. And you were quoted in there, "We will keep the Republicans at point where it becomes harder and harder and harder for them to pass the harmful and extreme bills that some in the Republican caucus want to pass." Harmful and extreme bills, which ones are those? Or is there a specific one that you were referring to, or is it just kind of in generalities?
Well, there are extreme bills. There were bills that were floated that would take even more powers away from the governor. You're thinking. I'm thinking specifically now to what we call the lame duck bills, the bills that were passed at that time that Governor Evers was elected. And before he was sworn in that very limited period of time, the Republicans went to the floor and kind of rewrote his job description in a way. Those are the sorts of things that I think need a much more thorough vetting and a time for the public to see what's going on. I think that the very, very drastic cuts to education have been harmful. I think that we need to do far, far, far more in healthcare. So the one bill in particular, the bill on shoreland zoning, nobody in the North was really excited about that one, but that passed, and that has very, very serious consequences in the North. And I agree that we have lots of opportunity to compromise on things, but I don't know why we have to go immediately to the far, far right or the far, far left. I think there's a middle way to go that makes sense, particularly for us in the North, when you have Democrats who hunt and Republicans who are artists. I mean, we're all kinds of weird people up here. We're very thorough, wonderful folks, and we typically are willing to sit down and talk. And both in the Democratic Party and in the Republican Party, there are very loud, extreme voices that sometimes win out. I prefer to come up with a more rational approach.
From your predecessor, from the position that you're in now, is there something with, I mean, obviously it's not that maybe you disagreed with what she had done, but now that you are the Senate Minority Leader, you have to kind of put your spin on it, or it's got to be yours. Is there something that you would like to kind of spearhead or really kind of see a change in, and now that you have this position, to maybe address now?
Right. I think that there is a lot more opportunity to represent that the fact that small businesses and small farms are really at the heart of the northern Wisconsin economy. I believe that in a lot of ways, both Democrats and Republicans respond to the interests that they're closest to. And if you're in the South and if you're in Madison, the largest international businesses are going to get the most attention. So in the very first round of the CARES Act with the PPP, the payroll protection, didn't get to the small businesses. I think both of us, Democrats and Republicans, wanted to get to the businesses that need it. I think that I'm going to be able to say, you bet. I have small businesses. They really are the backbone of the economy. The loggers, the truckers, the print shops. These are businesses that have been going for years, and they're not owned by a multinational corporation. They're owned by generations of one family that have owned it, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears in it, and they want to keep it going. And I think that we really need to focus on those because they get short shrift quite a bit.
You had said that the caucus meets together at the very beginning, both sides, right? GOP and the Democrats, oftentimes are in constant communication. Are there meetings, are there scheduled meetings, a monthly thing where the GOP and Democratic leadership sit down and meet and talk? Or is it pretty much, no, we really just don't? Unless we have to, we don't like really keeping open lines of communication or have a scheduled bi-weekly or bi-monthly meeting.
They do. They always have the opportunity to talk. And the staff of my office and all the staff talk. They have to on basis of, what is going on there. Did you get this constituent call? Whatever it is. What are you hearing about this meeting or whatever? So they talk on a practical basis. Now, does the leadership, how often and with what frequency will I talk to Senator Fitzgerald? I imagine that I'll talk to him weekly. I hope so. We have a brand new relationship to form, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good one.
Has he reached out to you and said congratulations, or is that not something that people do?
No, not yet, but I don't want to, not yet, but that's okay.
Sure.
So we're going to start off well, but I think that it's up to the leaders to determine what fits them. So I don't know, like, for example, if Gordon Hens and Robin Voss talk on a regular basis, but I can tell you that I hope that Senator Fitzgerald and I do.
All right. Well, you're in Madison. Why are you down there, actually? Is it you have things going on, or you just need to get away?
I do. I have things going on right now. We have to, since I'm the leader now, the leader is physically in a different part of the building than everybody else. So you've got the Senate chambers, and right adjacent to them is the minority leader and the majority leader's offices. And they're bigger because they have larger staff. So now that I am the leader effective now, I have to move into that office because that's where the staff is. That's where access to the Senate staff is. And so we need to do that for staff's sake, because we can't ask them to be running up and down the stairs. It just turns out that my office is almost directly underneath Jen's on the floor below. So we see each other a lot, but we can't ask. Right now I have a staff of 4, and Senator Schilling's office is really a combination of 2 offices. It's her district and the leadership office. Yeah. So that we're going to blend that. I'm going to have 3 of her staff members join me in that office, and then her other 4 or 3 are going to go with her to her district office.
Got it.
She's going to be a senator in that district with her staff and continue to function as that. So that was necessary. So I had to come down for that.
I've never been down there. When the Safe at Home is lifted, well, I've been to Madison. I've just never been there. So when this is all lifted, I think it'll be like Mr. Dryden goes to Madison.
We could do that.
That'd be fun.
You could do that, and I could check and see if you could broadcast from there.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Would you like to do that?
That'd be great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
In one of your 14 offices.
No, that'd be good. And I really like your listeners to see that.
Yeah, that'd be
your
cool.
listeners to see.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
No, I really do. It's a beautiful place. Wisconsin is very, very lucky that we have such a gorgeous capital. And I would love to have more people come and see it. And that would be a great way to do it.
Anything any last words? Anything you want to share?
I don't want any more snow. No more snow. I miss baseball.
Snow. Yeah. Holy cow, do I miss baseball? And and I feel really bad because I'm a huge Cubs fan. So after they won the World Series, I stopped liking them because I like the fact that they just lost all the time. I don't know why. Yeah, that's Cubs.
No,
Cubs.
You can't help it. If it's in you, it's in you. And if you're a Cubs fan, you're a Cubs fan.
It was a birthright, man. My whole family's from Chicago, and my mom loves the Cubs. She doesn't know the difference between a ball and a strike, I don't think. But she loves the Cubs because that's what they grew up listening to.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So last year I stopped watching it as much, just baseball. And well, I swear when they come back on, I'm going to watch every single game.
I know. We are really going to appreciate sports when they come back.
I know it.
Really will. I know. It's so hard to watch these reruns. Do you know what I caught my husband watching the other day?
Can you say it on the air?
Professional cornhole championship.
I've seen those. And I watched them. Yeah, I got one better for you. It was like 3
cornhole.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago it was on ESPN2 or something, and they brought back the old
And there's the young kid who's going to beat the old pro.
Yeah.
I mean, the young kid is 19 and the old pro is 26.
Yeah. It was
hysterical. America.
It was on ESPN Ocho or something. They brought that back for a while. And it was actually, rock skipping tournament. It's over in Michigan.
Well, the thing is, too, this may be the dawn of a whole new era for professional bowling.
Oh, right.
People used to watch professional bowling all the time. It never went away. Never went away. It was always there. Maybe it'll all come back and we'll have professional bowling.
Let's hope not. Miss Janet, thank you so so much for stopping in, especially down there in Madison. I really appreciate it. Always fun talking to you.
You bet. Talk to you next time.
You got it. Special thank you to my guest today, Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Janet Bewley. And thank all of you for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 8:30 for a Diane's Kitchen episode when Diane Dryden will be visiting with Brian Cole. Until then, stay safe, keep your social distance, and have a blessed day.